This is Grace with Graceful Living. Today we have a fun episode. We're going to learn about pink and white oyster mushrooms.
Hey, I'm Noah Brown with Opala Foods.
Eli Crow.
We started off out of our house back in 2018. Started putting stuff together, and then it started 2019. We started leasing this place. We have about 5,000 square foot here. Most of our production's done on this floor, and the raw, dirty stuff is done in this room for the most part. The mushroom bags behind us are actually on their way out, so we're going to do the final harvest on these, and then we're going to start turning them into compost.
How did you get into it?
We were both like hobby growing. We
Really?
were both like, yeah, we met each other through a kickball team. So, like, we had a kickball team at our party, and then the guy that's on the team was his roommate. It's like we met that one night. We started like kicking around ideas, and we like,
Yeah, you just end up talking over time, and then
That's
kind of
cool.
make things work. I got like a kind of a small internship, kind of like a company that was like producing like sugarcane waste, because I was at UH at the time.
Oh, nice.
Finishing up my degree. So you're just kind of looking for ways to like reduce the waste while increasing food production on the island.
That's great.
yeah. So like our name Opala Foods, Opala is trash, rubbish, whatever.
Yeah.
And the reason why we went with that name is that our focus is to pull like agricultural waste resources out of the waste streams, like actually in here, it just turned out so it'll be a little bit hot, but it's possibly really hot. Anyways, we go to Honolulu Coffee Company, pick up coffee grinds, like pre-pasteurizing this, and then we'll take it out and mix it in with all the other ag ingredients like straw, coffee, obviously wood waste, and that kind of thing. Sugarcane bagasse, when we can get it.
Do they give you that? Do you like? Do they just give all their waste to you? You have an arrangement?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Most people will give it away, just because they're either going to throw it away or we can come to pick it up. So like now, like since we're able to like take their waste resources and actually utilize it, they feel better about it, and they get to reduce their waste load a bit too.
That's wonderful.
So,
how about the wood and the straw? Where do you get that from?
The straw we actually buy. That's so the straw and the grain we use for the actual inoculant is we purchase both of that, and then the wood waste comes from like tree trimmers and like agroforestry. So and some like sawmills and that kind of stuff as well.
So you just have arrangements with these people, or you just go and say, "Hey, do you guys have leftover waste? I'll take it."
So we have regular people that we work with, but then like everything that we have is just been like word of mouth. Then we use the barrels to hydrate all of our stuff as well.
So you put water in it, or what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What we actually do here is we produce our own spawn grain. We don't import it.
Sure.
We don't buy our bags pre-made either out here. So actually what we do, we culture it. We start off just basically on agar petri plates like this. And you can see right here, we then make our own grain seed that we then use in order to inoculate our bags.
So is that on agar, that big?
Yeah. This one's right here.
But how about the other?
You can see right here.
The container is
the container is grain. We use whole oats, but you can
use oats.
You can use a variety of things, yeah.
And then you take it out from the agar and you put it in there, and then it just eats the whole entire thing.
Generally, yeah. If you do it in clean conditions, it will do that.
So you have to sterilize it ahead of time. Do you heat it? Or
yes. So these are actually sterilized, whereas our substrates pasteurized. There is a little bit of a difference, and then we inoculate under like flow hood, so clean lab conditions.
Yeah.
As we've gone through the years, what we'll do is we'll take the best fruits that we get and pull tissue culture from that, and that is how so basically like it's kind of like cloning, but we're doing that to have a stable supply going throughout. They're already folded back, but they have filter patches on them that allows them to let the CO2 inside escape. So mushrooms, unlike plants, actually in the vegetative stage, will produce CO2.
Yeah.
Right. So all the gases just to come out of the bag. You want to keep other contaminants, like track down getting inside of it. So we started off with these. They're easy to fill. We're doing everything by hand.
Sure.
Which is really labor intensive and it's hard to scale. So we actually got this little machine in about a week or two ago. Just got it set up. And what'll happen is we'll put the substrate inside of here. Fill the bag. Right. So the bag will be over top of it. Fill it up, and then we cap it. And let the process happen. This has a bulk filter, right? And that allows this gas exchange to happen inside of the bag. And we actually have some bags
instead of having just like taping it on top. You mean?
Right. And then when we go to harvest it, we just pop these open, and the fruit can come out here. We don't have to like cut it, don't have to tape it. It saves us a lot of time. Yeah. All this white that you see growing here. That is the grain spawn, so the mycelium's growing. It'll eventually eat all the way through this whole bag. It'll turn fully white in the next week or so, and it will be ready to.
The pink different from the white.
They're
different environments or just different cultures.
They're different cultures. Yeah. They're different variants of that. So they're both oyster mushrooms, but they're different. Kind of like how like a cherry tomato and whatever the big fine ripe ones are. Beef stick tomato. That's the only other one I know. But yeah, it's like they're same family but different mushrooms.
So they just can't grow together just because I mean, if you put two cultures, they're just incompatible.
Yeah, they will literally my understanding is with the high phenotypes, and they will just stop growing.
Oh, really? Yeah. So it's not like one dominates.
It kind of depends on the mushrooms that are growing.
Sure.
Like if you're growing, let's say, the button mushrooms off of the hyphae or the spent substrate that we have, which are the oysters, they're going to take over. So. Yeah. Sometimes they're just incompatible, but sometimes they will take over. Between the oyster species, you're not going to notice one dominating the other. I will say that the white oyster is more aggressive than the other two species that we have, but I think it's just the growing conditions of our climate.
Okay. So when do you pop the cap? Is that when you're ready to harvest them then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
well, no, it's when we're ready to move them to the fruiting chamber. So they'll stay in here for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
While the mycelium runs all the way through.
Sure.
You'll let it consolidate a little bit, and then you'll move it over to the fruiting chamber. The difference being that there's a lot of light, a lot of humidity, and a lot of airflow in that room. And this room generally is dark.
So if you had that at home, like when would you pop the cap? I guess the question would be.
So after all the white has gotten all the way through the bag.
You see the difference right here?
That answers the other question. Okay.
So it's going to fully consume this.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you let it consolidate sometimes for a couple days. And then you pop the cap. And this has already been harvested once.
Okay. And how many times can you harvest this thing?
Generally, we go with 2 harvests. This is our first trial with these smaller bags. With the bigger bags, we do 2. We'll see because if the fruit is too small on the second one, we might just do 1 flush.
Sure.
So we're still figuring that question out.
It does also depend on the varieties as well. Each one of them has their own yield.
Sure.
In the mushroom industry, you speak about biological yields, biological efficiencies, but they're all going to be different. So like for us, our white oyster mushrooms produce the most, and our pink oyster mushrooms produce the least.
Yeah.
So that'll change that'll make a difference as to like how many times you harvest as well.
Sure.
But the mycelium stays alive though. Like it's not dead when it's done fruiting. It's just ran out of sufficient moisture to keep fruiting. So you can take the insides and transfer them to other medium.
And then it'll fruit?
Can, yeah.
What kind of medium would you transfer it to?
There's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So oyster mushrooms are able to metabolize a lot of different substrates.
Sure.
So like we've got 4, I guess, different mediums that the substrates that they're going to consume just for us. But you can use a whole bunch of different woods. You can use newspaper, toilet paper, cardboard.
Wow. So you don't do that though.
No.
So will you just what are you going to do with the leftovers?
These we're gonna pull and turn into compost. We sell compost to some people. We're working on some.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
How much do you sell for the, like, how much you charge or whatever? People might be interested.
It's like 5-gallon buckets, like $10.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. You got to bring your own bucket, or how does that work?
Most people come by and pick up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they would bring their own 5-gallon bucket, like a Homer bucket or something.
Yeah, or they can take the bags home with them too.
Oh, they can. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do that as well. Yeah, it just depends. Yeah.
Oh, that's
it's
good
not,
to
it's
know.
not like a real industry for us yet. We're working on some alternative applications for it, we'll say.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Basically constantly on filtered air. We have humidification system set up, so it's going to be constantly pumping air out, or humidity out, and then we spray the walls as well just to keep it bumped up.
Here, I like to do it in X.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a 1-inch X like this,
Okay.
at least 4 inches apart. We have a couple different style bags. We have one little smaller one where it's kind of growing out like this, and I'll cut a longer hole with kind of like a T off. You want to be able to allow them to be able to push out without getting caught by the plastic. So these right here actually, you see it's just like a longer cut.
Yes.
A little bit down.
And then are they going to grow from the bottom like that?
Yep. They're going to grow from wherever you cut the hole.
Okay. And then
so like those little bags that they were talking about, like with the caps you pull off.
Sure.
If you get a hole poked in the side of it, you're going to have mushrooms grow out the side of it.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that, unless you've got a whole bunch of them stacked together. Then you just don't see it. Like occasionally you'll have a hole in the bottom of a bag.
Yeah.
And it'll grow out the bottom of. You have to like fight through the you know. And basically the reason why we have that spacing is just so the mushrooms don't run into each other. It just makes it easier to harvest. Like there's not like a right or wrong way to do it. For the most part, just as long as your fruit can grow and fully form without running into other stuff. Because they will they'll grow together if they touch each other. They'll stick together. You have to break them apart basically. So this room does have like a really high spore load. So mask is always on in here. You might be able to see some of these.
So you can see the spores coming off of it right now.
Oh, really?
If you look against the light. See how it looks like it's misting?
Yeah. Oh, those are spores coming out.
Yeah.
And would they potentially, like, if this was like an outdoor weather, they would like potentially go and like rest on a bark and then grow on a bark?
Yes. And that's why like the H2A regulates which mushrooms can and can't be grown out here.
Oh.
So the 3 species that we grow, we are allowed to grow.
That's good.
Via the H2A, whereas you need to really be careful about that because
they can
the
be invasive.
ecosystem out here, can be very fragile. So
they'll fruit out of these. The second harvest will also come out of these.
Oh, really?
And then third, keep coming out of the same ones. Now, if you have trouble with your fruiting for whatever reason, like sometimes an area just won't fruit. So you may go and like cut another spot and like tape the original hole back over so it doesn't try to go out there, because you want to have it. You want to try and force it out of like a small amount of, or as few of openings as you can.
Oh, really? Because you want it to be humid.
It's so the if you have like like this one block, right? We've got 2 holes on it, and we'll get some pretty good sized fruits off of it. But if we were to have like 12 holes on here, you could theoretically get 12 fruits out of it. They'll just all be much smaller, right? So the more holes you have to kind of like size the bag for and the holes you have for the size of the mushroom you want.
So you're always harvesting out of the same holes,
right?
Even if you have a second or third harvest. Okay. And these generally have like 2 or 3 harvests in them. Yeah, so like the bags out front, like so that's their third.
So it's 6 just in these 3 rooms, and then in the lab portion it takes about 3 weeks also.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Noah and Eli, for teaching us about oyster mushrooms. So where can we find these delicious mushrooms? Opala Farms is at the Kaka'ako Farmers Market on Wednesdays and Saturdays. We also sell through FarmLink and Oahu Fresh. Stay tuned for a future video where I will grow mushrooms from a bag I purchased from Opala Farms. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Please go to graceandhawaii.com for more information.